I want to show you something I found on Google Earth. Not on Earth, on Mars. I am not a scientist. I am not affiliated with any space agency. I am someone who spends time looking, really looking, at the publicly available satellite imagery that anyone with an internet connection can access right now. And what I found years ago has stayed with me ever since, because I could not explain it then, and nobody has explained it since. Open Google Earth, switch to Mars, navigate to these coordinates: 45 degrees, 56 minutes, 56.01 seconds north, 23 degrees, 32 minutes, 18.39 seconds east. What you will find there is not a crater, not a geological formation, not a trick of light or shadow. What you will find is a perfect geometric square cut into the surface of Mars, approximately 100 meters on each side, with walls that drop straight down into the darkness below. I have looked at a lot of Mars terrain. I have seen craters, dust storms frozen in time, ancient river valleys, volcanic plains stretching for thousands of kilometers. None of it looks like this, because none of it is a perfect square. Nature does not make perfect squares. Geology does not make perfect squares. Wind erosion, meteor impacts, volcanic activity. None of these forces produce a 100-meter geometric entrance dropping straight into the ground. Something made this, something with intention, something with engineering capability that we are only beginning to understand. And this is just where the story starts. Look at the images carefully. This is not a surface feature. This is not a raised structure or a mound. It drops down. The walls are vertical, the angles are precise. If you were standing on the Martian surface looking at this, you would be looking at an entrance, a doorway, not into a cave, into something constructed. The scale matters enormously here. 100 meters on each side. That is the size of a large city block. That is not a small anomaly or an interesting rock formation. That is an opening large enough to move substantial infrastructure through, large enough to function as an access point for something operating far beneath the surface. Think about what exists beneath our own planet. Subway networks, underground cities, military bunkers carved kilometers into the rock. Entire civilizations have built underground on Earth because underground means protection. Protection from weather, from radiation, from whatever exists above. On Mars, the surface is bombarded by cosmic radiation because there is no magnetic field protecting it the way Earth's does. If anything ever lived on Mars, or lives there now, going underground is not just logical, it is the only rational survival strategy.
Or it might be some kind of machine to make it like
The surface of Mars as we see it today is hostile. Temperatures swing 300 degrees. The atmosphere is almost non-existent. UV radiation hits the surface constantly. But go far enough underground and something remarkable happens. The temperature stabilizes. Liquid water becomes possible. Pressure becomes survivable. The rock itself becomes shielding. NASA knows this. Scientists know this. The search for life on Mars has always included the possibility of subsurface life. What I'm showing you is not a theory about whether life could exist underground on Mars. I am showing you what appears to be a door. Here is where this stops being a curiosity and becomes something that demands serious attention. This is not one structure, it is a network. After finding the first entrance at those coordinates, I kept looking. And I found more. Not randomly scattered across the Martian surface. Not clustered together in one area, spaced apart. in a line, running across the terrain with a consistency that has no geological explanation. The spacing between them is not random, approximately 14 kilometers to the next, then 41 kilometers, then 36. The distances vary, but the direction holds, following a line across the Martian surface that stretches approximately 245 kilometers from the first entrance I documented. 245 kilometers of what appears to be a connected underground network, with access points spaced along its length like stations on a transit system. Think about what that means. If this is natural, if geology somehow produced a series of perfect geometric square openings spaced across nearly 250 kilometers of terrain in a straight line, then we need to completely rewrite our understanding of planetary geology. Because nothing we know about how planets form and erode produces this pattern. But if this is not natural, if these are what they appear to be, then what we are looking at is infrastructure, ancient or otherwise. A network built beneath the surface of Mars on a scale that dwarfs anything we have constructed on Earth. And it has been sitting there in the publicly available Google Earth data, visible to anyone who looks, for years. I am not the first person to look at Mars and see anomalies. Researchers have documented faces, pyramids, structures, and objects on the Martian surface for decades. Most can be explained by pareidolia, the human tendency to see patterns and faces in random shapes. I understand that. I apply that filter when I look at Mars, imagery. What I cannot apply that filter to is a perfect geometric square with vertical walls dropping into the ground. Pareidolia requires ambiguity. There is no ambiguity in a right angle. There is something else I need to tell you. Mars is not the only place I found these. Using Google Maps planetary view, I located what appear to be matching structures on Venus. The same geometric precision, the same square entrance shape. On a planet we have been told is far too hostile to harbor any form of civilization, past or present. Venus is described as a hellscape. Surface temperatures of nearly 500 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric pressure 90 times greater than Earth. Clouds of sulfuric acid. Everything we have been told about Venus says nothing could survive there. But we were told the same things about Mars. And here we are, looking at structures on Mars that have no natural explanation. Here is a question worth sitting with. How much of what we know about Venus comes from direct long-term surface observation? The longest any probe has survived on the Venusian surface is just over 2 hours. 2 hours. Our entire understanding of what may or may not exist on or beneath Venus is based on 2 hours of direct surface data, orbital imaging, and computer modeling. We have spent more time studying individual rocks in the Australian desert than we have spent on the surface of Venus. What exists beneath the Venusian surface we genuinely do not know. What exists in the deep rock, kilometers below that hostile atmosphere, we have never looked at directly. And the structures I found on Google Maps Venus view suggest that whatever built the network on Mars may not have limited itself to one planet. There is also something else that connects to this. Several years ago, images emerged, some from NASA orbital missions, some from rover footage, appearing to show what looked like light emanating from the Martian surface. Glowing areas, venting, points of what appeared to be illumination coming from beneath the ground. NASA offered explanations. Cosmic ray interference with the camera sensor, reflective rock surfaces, catching sunlight at specific angles. These explanations satisfy some people, but if there is an underground network beneath the Martian surface, if there is activity down there, if something is operational beneath those geometric entrances, then lights coming from the ground are not so difficult to explain after all.
Take a look at this picture of Mars. That light on the right side of the photo is creating quite a stir online, with some speculating the possibility of life on the red planet. NASA's Curiosity rover took the picture, and a NASA scientist tweeted the spot is probably just a cosmic ray. Curiosity captured a similar photo on Mars' horizon back in 2014, but it was said to just be the sun reflecting off the rocky surface. Right.
We have been told a story about our solar system. Mars is dead. Venus is dead. The planets beyond Earth are barren, hostile, and empty. Life is rare, possibly unique to Earth, a miraculous accident in an otherwise silent solar system. I am asking you to look at these coordinates on Google Earth and tell me that story still makes complete sense to you. Because here is what I believe based on everything I have found, and everything researchers far more qualified than me have been saying for decades. Mars was not always as we see it today. There is overwhelming geological evidence that Mars once had liquid water on its surface. It once had a thicker atmosphere. It once had conditions that could have supported life as we understand it. What happened to Mars? The loss of its magnetic field, the stripping of its atmosphere, whatever catastrophe transformed it into the desert we see now, happened over geological time. Time enough for whatever civilization existed there to adapt, to go underground, to build a network that could sustain life beneath a surface that was becoming increasingly hostile. And if that civilization was advanced enough to construct what I am showing you across 245 kilometers of terrain, they were almost certainly advanced enough to extend that network to other bodies in the solar system, to Venus, to moons, perhaps beyond. We are not alone in this solar system. I do not believe we ever were. And I believe the evidence for that is sitting in publicly available satellite data, waiting for anyone willing to look at the coordinates. 45 degrees, 56 minutes, 56.01 seconds north. 23 degrees, 32 minutes, 18.39 seconds east. Go there. Look for yourself. Tell me what you see. And then ask yourself why, in all the years of Mars research, with all the data NASA and ESA have collected, with all the orbital imaging and rover footage and scientific papers published, nobody in an official capacity has ever pointed a camera directly at these coordinates and said anything at all. The network is there. It has always been there, sitting in the data, waiting. In part 2, we go further. We map the full extent of what I have found. We look at what others in this community have located since I first shared these coordinates. And we look at the Venus structures in detail, because I believe with enough eyes looking, we will find them again. Whatever is beneath the surface of Mars did not disappear. It did not die. It went deeper. And somewhere down there, at the end of a 245-kilometer underground network, something may still be waiting. The question is not whether we will find the answer. The question is whether we are ready for it.